Hello and welcome to my first ever Moza racing review. Today we've got the Moza SGP sequential shifter. Yeah, and it's a special one, especially at $129. Do you need a sequential? We'll be touching on that a little bit. And yeah, the short answer is yes. Yes, you do need a sequential shifter. As always, here are the topics that we will be discussing today. You are more than welcome to skip to any of the bits that interests you. I did pay this shifter with my own moolah, my own chinero, my own V-Bucks, £129 I paid for it. This shifter also is $129 or 139 euros, I believe. Anyway, I've got the products linked below, and yeah, let's just get started. I think this shifter looks absolutely mamma mia. I think it looks beautiful. Mounted on the rig, it looks absolutely fantastic. The only thing I do not like about the aesthetics, the looks of this, are these, these bolts sticking out from the sides. But it is what it is for this, the money you are paying for it. I think they've actually made this thing look very, very nice. Now, if you compare it here to their handbrake, for example, you can see this is just completely black. And over here, I feel like they've put in a little bit more thought into their shifter. You can see all these silver accents, and here on the cutouts and all over there. It just looks nice. It makes the shifter, in my opinion anyway, looks, I really like it mounted. It looks very nice on my rig. However, looks are obviously subjective, and I mean, a shifter in the end of the day is a shifter. But even if you look at the footprint, you can see it's not a very bulky thing, especially considering you've got 3 extra inputs. You've got 2 buttons here and then another one here. So yeah, I think Moza has done a great job putting this whole product together, and I do think it looks the part. The build quality of this SGP shifter honestly exceeded my expectations at this price point. I think it is fantastically well made for $129. I don't know what more you can expect, to be honest. The whole thing is made out of metal. Now, Moza says it's made out of aerospace grade aluminium. I don't know what that means. For all I know, they're referring to the little food cart that comes down the aisle. I don't know what, is considered aero-grade space aluminium, but everything feels well, and I can tell when I'm using this product it's something that's going to last. Also, they've got contactless hall sensors in here, so it means it doesn't matter how many times you shift there's no real mechanical parts that are wearing out, so you can shift this thing probably 1,000,000 times and it'll be fine. Yeah, other than that, build quality, the only thing I really want to point out is, I've noticed quite a few people mention this, is this wobble over here. Now, this wobble here, I hear some people say, oh, you don't notice it while you're racing. I did notice it while I'm racing. The way I can describe it to you is, sometimes when you're on a long straight, you are not taking your hands off the shifter. So this is a steering wheel, this is a shifter. Now I'm on a long straight. I'm second gear. Now I'm waiting for my my rev lights. Then I'm changing to third gear, then fourth gear before I have to downshift. And yeah, at that time when my hand is on there, I definitely can feel that wiggle. So it is something that personally I think if they got rid of this little wiggle, the overall build quality of this item I just think would have been enhanced, and I think it really then would have been like, Mounting this shifter onto your rig honestly can't be any easier. It's like a 2-minute job, if even. You get 3 holes at the top, you get 3 holes at the bottom, simsalabim, there you go. And you can even adjust it with a slight angle, which is perfect because, in my opinion, having a slight angle pointed towards you just makes it feel a lot more comfortable to use. As well as you have an option here with 8 holes at the bottom to just hard mount it as well to, I don't know if you want to drill holes through your desk, but you can do so, or if you have a handbrake bracket or something like that, yeah, you can use the screws that are provided in the box, and as you can see, you can then bottom mount it as well. So that's very, very nice. So after mounting this onto your rig, you're then going to connect it to either your computer with the USB cable, or you will use the RJ cable provided for you to connect it to a Moza base. You cannot use this on any consoles at this moment. This is PC only. Adjusting the height of this shifter is actually very easy. You just undo these bolts over here and you can see the holes that are already made in the shifter. I've got this at its tallest configuration at the moment. You can then lower this if you want to do so, and you do that just by putting them 2 bolts through any of these holes over here. Now, one thing I do want to say is when you do have this thing at its tallest configuration like I do, you have to remember that the resistance to pull will be a lot less because it's leverage. You know, if a shifter was this tall, it would be even easier to shift it. If I were to shift over here, it would take, say, 10% of my effort. Whereas if I were to hold it here at the bottom and try and shift, it would take 30 or 40% of effort for me to do so. So the taller you make this shifter, the less resistance it will take for you to pull. Now if you do looking for something that is really solid and has a nice force to it, then maybe this is not the shifter for you, because to be honest with you, I would say that in my opinion is probably this shifter's biggest weak point is the fact that even at its stiffest configuration, I mean look here, it is, I can do this with my pinky if I want to. You know, it's not a very firm pull. However, for $129, I mean, that is kind of the entry level. You cannot expect, you know, you can't expect wonders. I want to show you here because I've not seen anyone point this out, but you can adjust the resistance. Now, this is me tightening it. And over here, I would love this resistance over here. And look at nice and firm, but it doesn't spring back, so it's stuck there. So you can do that, but then you have to push it back yourself. But the shifter will work like this, but yeah, you don't want it stuck like that, you know. So if you want it at its stiffest without it getting stuck, what you do is you screw it until it's stuck like that, and then you take your Allen key and you're just going to slowly wind this down until it pops back. And now you know this here is at its, I think it's still got stuck there a little bit. Yep. So wind it down, let's see. Yeah, and there you go. So this here is now at its stiffest configuration, and to be honest with you, it's not very stiff. It definitely could, in my opinion, they could easily double it, and even at that, I would still say I personally would have wanted it a bit stiffer. But overall, for the price, again, you know, I'm just babbling, because really, you're not going to get anything near this for that type of money. This shifter gives you a couple of extra buttons, which is nice. I love extra buttons, especially when I'm driving the Mazda, or if I'm rallying and I'm using this bad boy, this 350mm, and this is my 300mm rim. There's no extra buttons for me to use. So then I'm always wanting something to reset me to the pits or reset me onto the road, and then this one here is my push to talk button. So I really like that, and then I don't have to look at my keyboard, where's that button, you know. It definitely, in my opinion, it adds to the shifter, especially considering that this is not a bulky unit. Even if you were to take these buttons away, I don't think you could make this sequential shifter really any skinnier. So adding these 2 buttons, I really like it. Both these buttons are backlit, and you can change the colors to whatever your heart desire. You can have one purple and one red, or one green and one orange. Whatever you want, you can change it, you know, to have it match to what you have programmed to them keys. Now let's talk about this little button, yeah, or trigger, whatever you want to call it. Now, Moza here says that you use this to go down to neutral or reverse very quickly, and I think that is a fantastic idea. However, at this very moment, you cannot utilize this function in nearly all the sims that I drive anyway, which is a real pity, because you can imagine yourself, if you make a oopsie and you are now in the gravel trap and you are in 5th gear and now you got to shift down, you're shifting down, you have to do that 5 times before you get to reverse, which is a lot, or 6 times if you go past neutral. So you can save yourself valuable time, maybe even 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds, by just pushing this one button. But like I said, unfortunately in most simulators this is not a function as of yet. So this here is just a button. And when I say it's just a button, that's exactly what it is, because you can't even use this as like a handbrake or, for example, a clutch. It doesn't pick up distance, or it's not a progressive trigger. It is just a button, so it only picks up once you're over there. It picks up as a button, and that's it. So you tell me. I personally have not even programmed this to anything in the sim because I don't know what to use for it. Maybe push to talk. I don't know. That could maybe be a feature. You tell me down below. Leave me a comment. What would you personally use this trigger over here for? I tell you what I do use it for, and what Moza has not told anybody. An extra feature of this handbrake. And you've seen it here first. That's what I use it for. Whenever mine is mounted over there, I use this as my headphone holder. Simple. That's the extra $5 you could add on to the price. $135 you can sell this for now. Hello and welcome to the beautiful Summit Point. We are doing an AI race in the Mazda MX-5. That way I am not responsible for ruining someone else's evening tonight while we're discussing this beautiful SGP shifter. Anyway, off we go. Oh yep, there we go. Let's just start talking about the tip here. I won't keep you long. 2 laps max, and I can give you my conclusion. The tip here, we start with the shift knob. I very much like it. I think it's one of the nicer knobs on a shifter that I've had. It's all aluminium. It's kind of thick here at the top, and then it goes down to a little bit more skinny, and it just feels very nice in the hand. I really do like it. However, if you do not like it and it's not your cup of tea, you can change it. It's just a 12mm thread underneath here when you unscrew it. So when you are buying a new knob for your shifter, just make sure that it is a 12mm thread and you'll be fine. Now let's talk about the sound. Yeah, personally I'm not the biggest fan when it comes to the sound of a shifter, as you can hear. It's not a bad sound, however I just feel like it's more like a high pitch sound, and compared to my other sequentials, I feel like they have more like a chunky sound to them. So yeah, it's not a deal breaker at all. Another thing to consider is 100% this thing will bother someone in the same room as you. However, if you're living in a house with walls that have insulation in them, I very much doubt that it will be bothering someone. Hey guy, calm down. I very much doubt it will be bothering someone that's in the room next to you if you have the door closed. I really can't see that happening. Yeah, other than that, there's only 2 things that I think that Moza could have done to actually improve this shifter at this price point. And that's this wobble over here. As you can see, it's quite a wobble. Now yeah, when you are in the heat of battle, you're never ever gonna notice that wobble. You're not. But when you are not like now, and I'm driving one-handed and I'm waiting for my next shift, that is when I notice it. And you'll notice when you are actually using a sequential shifter, you're going to be driving like this quite a lot. You're going to be driving one-handed very, very frequently. So yeah, you're going to notice this quite frequently. Anyway, other than that, I think they could have made the resistance that's required to make a shift. I definitely think they could have made that better. Don't push me off, guy. You will. As you can see, I'm going to demonstrate. You can literally do this with a pinky, you know. Look here. Doesn't take a lot of effort here to actually pull or push a shifter, and I do have it set to the max. Now I do want to point out this is $129 shifter. So really, in my opinion, if I fix, oh, I don't expect him to brake it easy. It's because I'm used to real life where people brake at that, you know, that third cone or just after it. I didn't expect him to go so early. But anyway, we're still here. Yeah, I think if they fix them two issues, I think this handbrake very well could be $180 handbrake, and I would be very, very happy to pay $180 for this handbrake if I actually address those two things. Yeah, so I went a bit wide there. Managed anyway. So yeah, I think overall, I think Moza has done an absolute fantastic job at making a shifter at this price point for a start. And yeah, just to have a shifter that works so well, unlike myself, I think it's a great little product. I really think it is. Yeah, Moza has definitely made one hell of a shifter at this price point, and I can definitely recommend it to, yeah, almost everybody. Is this the type of shifter that you're going to be finding on a 5 or 10 grand rig? Probably not. They're probably going to be wanting for a little bit more. However, for everyone else, I can't recommend this highly enough. Really is a fantastic little shifter. I mean, it just does the job absolutely beautiful. Very briefly, just want to talk about, do you actually need a sequential shifter? Now listen here, of course you do not need one. You can get away with just using your pedals like a lot of people do. However, if you are driving rally cars or you are in drifting, then it's a no-brainer. 100% you need a sequential shifter. Any proper rally car or drift car has a sequential shifter right next to the handbrake, and you know, that's just the way it is. So it will add to the immersion for you, and the fun factor will just be right up there. You've seen me driving over there. I cannot tell you how much fun it is to drive that little Mazda while you have a sequential shifter. You know, it makes it every other car, like 90% of the cars that I drive on iRacing, I'm using these pedals. So sometimes it is nice just to do something a little bit different. Even though I'm still in my chosen simulator iRacing, I don't have to jump out to have a different experience and load up a rally game, for example. I can just go and use it at that. Even if you're doing some of the dirt racing, you know, on iRacing, a sequential shifter just adds to it, you know what I mean? So in my opinion, for this type of money, I don't think there's an excuse for anyone to say no, they don't want a sequential shifter. And yeah, I've never had a H-pattern shifter because I've never had the need for one. The sequential just does it perfectly for me. I think it elevates the experience, your whole racing experience, and I think for this type of money, like I said, everybody can have one. You know what I mean? It is something, what, $129. You can't even buy shoes at Foot Locker for that type of money anymore. I mean, pfft. Anyway, yeah, all is good. Enjoy. So, what are my final thoughts? What do I think? Should you go and buy this today? Well, listen here. I think it's a fantastic shifter for the price. I do think, and I'm not saying this lightly, I really do believe that this is the best shifter on the market when you are talking value for money. Okay, there is not a shifter that I can even think which is, if you add $50 at $180, which I would consider, you know, to be as good as this at that price point. Really, you have to start paying double money. I would say $240, $250 you're going to have to pay to get to the next step above this. So unless you want to spend that type of money, this here is the best shifter you can buy. Now, the things that you would get if you're paying that, say, 250 mark, is you 100% would have something that is a lot stiffer. The other thing that you would have is this shifter would definitely maybe have a bit more of a feeling to it, and also it would be a lot stiffer, something that would maybe replicate a real race car. So yeah, those, it might not have buttons on it, you know, keep that in mind. Very few shifters actually do have buttons. It's only recently that the sequentials have started coming out with buttons on them. So yeah, anyway, there are a few other options on the market. However, like I say, at this price point, at $129 or 129 pounds, I honestly don't think you can buy better. It really is very well built, and with a contactless Hall sensors, you can shift this thing thousands of times, and you'll still be racing when you are 62. If you are 62 now, you can use this while you know, up until you're 72, no doubt. Anyway, like I said, I did buy this with my own money. These are just my opinions and thoughts. If you do like this shifter and you may be considering buying one of these, I have a link down below. This is an affiliate link, so it means I get a little bit of the money. Instead of Moza getting 100% of what you send their way, they would give me this little tip, you see from here. Now, according to my wife, you only need the tip. I don't know how true that is, you know, I like to believe it, that all you need is a tip. But yeah, you know, if you do consider buying this shifter, it would be much appreciated if you obviously use the link below. There's no pressure to do so. You can obviously just go directly to Moza yourself if you do so. Thank you very much for watching. If you are not a subscriber, why not, guy? Don't be shy. Subscribe. And as always, I hope your next race is a winner. Hallelujah.